72% of enterprise leaders say their hybrid cloud strategy failed to deliver expected business outcomes within the first 18 months. Not failed to perform, failed to deliver business outcomes. That distinction matters, because most of them built it like it was a server migration project instead of a business transformation. Hybrid cloud isn't infrastructure. It's a decision about how your company makes money, moves faster, and competes. Here's what we're seeing across Asia Pacific and globally. Companies invested heavily in hybrid cloud, spinning up private clouds, negotiating multi-cloud contracts, hiring cloud architects. And then they hit a wall. The technology works. The networks are stable. But the business impact stalls. Why? Because they treated it as an IT problem, not a business problem. The real cost isn't the infrastructure. It's the organizational friction. Teams stay siloed. Decision-making gets slower, not faster. Data stays trapped in systems that can't talk to each other. And the worst part, competitors who approached this differently, who asked business questions first, are already 3 to 6 months ahead in market velocity. According to recent McKinsey research from 2026, only 34% of companies report that their hybrid cloud initiatives created measurable competitive advantage. More than half are spending 20 to 30% more on cloud infrastructure than they budgeted. And they're not sure why. The bill goes up, but the value doesn't scale. That's the gap we're addressing today. What separates the companies winning with hybrid cloud from those spending money on it is a simple shift in perspective. The winners stopped asking what cloud infrastructure they needed and started asking what business outcomes they were trying to unlock. Then they built the cloud strategy around that answer. In the next 10 minutes, we're going to walk through 3 frameworks that top-tier executives, particularly in Singapore, India, and across Southeast Asia, are using right now to turn hybrid cloud from a cost center into a competitive engine. You'll learn how to align your cloud strategy with revenue, how to identify which workloads actually belong in hybrid environments, and how to structure your organization so decisions accelerate, not slow down. This isn't theoretical. Every framework comes from companies that have already executed at scale, and we'll show you exactly how to apply it to your specific competitive situation. First framework: revenue clarity before architecture. The point is simple. Don't design hybrid cloud around your infrastructure constraints. Design it around your revenue drivers. That means identifying which business capabilities directly impact customer acquisition, retention, or monetization, and ensuring those capabilities have the right cloud environment, regardless of where that environment sits. The evidence is compelling. Research from Deloitte's 2026 Cloud Strategy Study found that companies explicitly mapping cloud workloads to revenue streams saw 48% faster time to market for new products and services compared to those making infrastructure decisions in isolation. That's not marginal. That's transformative. Real example. A regional fintech player in Singapore was building a hybrid cloud strategy. Their first instinct was to split workloads evenly. Critical systems on private cloud, development on public cloud. Standard thinking. But they stopped and asked the actual question. Which capabilities drive customer acquisition, real-time fraud detection, and personalized lending decisions? Those 2 capabilities were their competitive edge. Everything else was operational. So they inverted the decision. Built those 2 capabilities on a cloud infrastructure, private or public, that could scale without latency, without handoffs, without complexity. Operational systems went into a more cost-optimized environment. Outcome: time to launch new lending products dropped from 4 months to 6 weeks. Infrastructure didn't change. Thinking did. How to apply this? Before your next cloud architecture decision, map every major initiative against revenue impact. Ask, does this capability directly influence customer acquisition, retention, or pricing power? If yes, cloud decision should follow that priority, not vice versa. If no, ask if it can be more cost efficient elsewhere. That discipline transforms hybrid cloud from a technical puzzle into a business lever. Second framework: data gravity as a strategic asset, not a technical problem. Here's what most technology leaders miss. They treat data gravity, the friction and cost of moving data between cloud environments, as a technical constraint to solve. Wrong framing. In a hybrid world, data gravity is a competitive asset. Where your data lives, and how accessible it is, becomes a business strategy decision. The evidence comes directly from how the market has shifted. IDC's 2026 Enterprise Data Platform study found that companies strategically managing data gravity, deliberately choosing where critical data assets would live to optimize both performance and regulatory compliance, achieved 42% faster decision-making cycles compared to companies treating data as something to be moved freely across environments. That's because data placement becomes a deliberate choice, not a side effect. Here's a concrete example from a pharmaceutical manufacturer based in India. They had clinical trial data, manufacturing data, and supply chain data scattered across on-premises systems, AWS, and a private cloud provider. Their first instinct was, let's unify it all in a central data lake. 6-month project, massive engineering lift, constant data movement. Instead, they flipped the question. Where does each data set need to live to serve our fastest growing revenue stream? Their competitive edge was speed to market for generic drug approvals in emerging markets. That required real-time integration of regulatory, clinical, and manufacturing data, but only for the specific markets and time windows that mattered most, so they created a distributed data architecture where the most time-sensitive data lived in a private cloud environment optimized for that workflow, while historical and non-critical data remained in a cost-optimized public cloud. Clinical teams got the responsiveness they needed. Finance got the cost efficiency they needed. One system didn't have to do everything. How to apply this? Audit where your most critical data lives right now. Ask, does this data live here because it serves a business outcome, or because of historical accident? If it's the latter, plan a deliberate relocation. But don't move everything. Move strategically. Where does data need to be to reduce cycle time on your biggest competitive initiative? That's where to optimize. First, third framework. Organizational alignment before technical decisions. This is where most strategies fail. Companies build the cloud infrastructure beautifully. High availability, disaster recovery, security zones. But then the organization can't use it efficiently because teams are still structured like the old world. Hybrid cloud only works as a business strategy if your organizational structure supports fast, decentralized decision-making. The data here is stark. Recent research from Gartner's 2026 CIO Agenda report found that companies with explicitly redesigned organizational structures to support hybrid cloud, including empowered product teams, decentralized budget authority, and clear data governance, achieved 3 times faster feature deployment and were 40% more likely to realize projected cloud cost savings than companies that kept traditional IT-led governance models. The cloud was the same. The results were wildly different. Let me give you a specific example from a Southeast Asian e-commerce leader. They built a sophisticated hybrid cloud architecture but kept decision-making centralized. Every workload placement decision had to go through a central cloud governance board. Every data schema change required IT approval. What should have made them faster actually made them slower. Slower than their legacy system. So they restructured. Product teams got budget autonomy to make cloud decisions. Data governance became the responsibility of domain experts, not gatekeepers. IT became enablers, not approvers. Outcome: development velocity increased 75% within 6 months. Infrastructure complexity actually decreased because teams could optimize for what they actually needed, not what the governance board theoretically required. How to apply this? Look at your current decision-making structure for cloud initiatives. How many approvals are required before a team can provision new capacity or move a workload? If it's more than 2 sign-offs, you have a structural problem that no amount of better infrastructure will fix. Start removing approvals. Push decisions to teams closest to the customer. Build clear guard-rails around cost and security. But let people move fast inside those guardrails. That's how hybrid cloud becomes a business advantage instead of a technology project. Picture your organization 18 months from now. Hybrid cloud isn't something IT manages and teams tolerate. It's invisible. Teams innovate without thinking about where workloads live, because the infrastructure is intelligent enough to route them correctly. A product team launches a new feature on Monday. By Wednesday, the data team has integrated it into the decision-making pipeline. A market opportunity emerges in a new geography. Your regulatory team knows instantly which data can be accessed, which needs relocation, and which governance approvals are required. It happens in days, not weeks. Your competitive velocity. How fast you can move from decision to execution to customer impact has become your primary edge. And that velocity comes from hybrid cloud being woven into how the organization actually works, not bolted. Thanks for listening. If you found this valuable, please subscribe to Apex Minds D4J for more powerful insights. See you in the next one.